On this week's GamerGuild Podcast, we'll be discussing the breakup of the Embracer Group, Nintendo playing with magnets, and the cozy new Lord of the Rings game. All that and much, much more on this week's podcast. Hello everyone and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we round up all the video game news and stories right here for your listening or viewing pleasure on on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. Google Podcast is no more, isn't it? I've seen that.
Yeah,
news.
I think it died this week. I haven't used it for a while now. Since the announcement, I thought, well, screw you, Google. I'm going to leave and jump over to something else. So I think I just use Spotify again now.
Yeah, I think you use Spotify. And the gentleman who's just been talking is none other than Mr. Chris.
GG, everyone. Hope you're all having a good week.
How's been your week?
Just struggling this morning.
I am.
How's been your week?
How's been your week?
My week been good. Your week good too?
I happy.
I happy. we all happy. I'm feeling better. I've just took a codeine actually for my lower back, so if I start to get a bit loopy during the episode, you know why.
Chris is on Class A drugs, everyone. Let's see what happens.
I am. Yeah, I got some for my surgery a while back, and I hadn't used them. I didn't actually use them after the surgery at all. And then, I've had like a really bad lower back the last week or so, and I thought I'll just take the edge off this morning rather than go through the whole day out and about struggling with lower back pain. I was like, I'll just pop one. It really doesn't actually affect me that much. My wife sends absolutely loopy la. Me, you just get a mellow version of me. So
you just balance out with copious amount of Monster.
Exactly. That's the potent mixture that you need to do.
Not
cheers,
sponsored.
Everyone.
I wish we were sponsored by Monster. We drunk it enough on camera.
Well, definitely not Google after that introduction.
Yeah. Google stink. We know that. They'll never, in this channel, they'll never ever live down closing Stadia.
Or Google Podcasts now.
Or Google Podcasts, yeah. I used to like Google Podcasts.
Me too.
Yeah.
It worked. It's weird that they close stuff down, ironically enough, alongside Stadia, that it works. The technology, it works, and you wonder, does it really cost that much to run Google Podcasts? Really?
They're not really closing down, they're just merging it into YouTube. The functionality is still there, but YouTube doesn't need to be everything. I wish they completely separated Shorts, for example, have their own dedicated Shorts app, so the main thing YouTube doesn't have to get focused on Shorts.
Everything needs to be absorbed by one thing, remember?
Yeah.
It's the world of consolidation.
Unfortunately, yes.
We absorbed all of our shows.
It's true, but unless you Embrace Group, they're going the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, because we know they make good business decisions.
Yeah, always. They're well known for us. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell icon so you're kept in the loop of all our fantastic content here, such as the Sounds of Stadia. The Sounds of Stadia. What's going on with me this morning?
My word.
You can
Time out.
If you wish to go listen to the Sounds of Stadia podcast, you can head over to the YouTube channel where you can become a member for as little as 99p. We also have a merch store, and neither is actually wearing our merch today. But so you're going to have to do it for us. Get over to the store, buy yourself a t-shirt or a mug or... What else have we got? Have we got anything interesting at the store at the moment, Chris?
Dog bandanas.
Dog bandanas. Yeah.
Dog bandanas. They'll fit you. If you've got a skinny neck out there, they'll fit you.
Yeah.
But mouse mats, tote bags are always a terrible choice for branding. But they're there.
Yeah. Get your dog meat a dog bandana.
Yeah.
What have you been playing, Chris?
I've been in obviously Fallout. We played Fallout on the channel this past week. I jumped into Fallout 4 using the power of Xbox Cloud Gaming, and the next gen update was there in all its glory to see. So we did the opening few hours of that game, enjoyed what I played of it. It was very much a Fallout aesthetic, what I would enjoy. I did see, and I did like the opening, as I think we were playing through it. Spoilers for anyone who's not jumped into Fallout 4 yet.
Nukes dropped.
For spoilers. Yeah, nuclear missiles drop. But no, they're just the premise of there's your house and your family, and then you get that like time jump, and then you go back to it. So I thought that was quite interesting with the vault premise and the setup on Fallout 4. I've got it sorted on my PlayStation 5 now. I have the PS5 version downloaded. We'll talk about that later in the news because there's been some controversy around it. But mostly I've just been doing EA Sports FC. I've just had that little window of time where I started a new season with Wrexham, of all the people, because of the TV show most likely, and they have a little bit more budget than most. I upped the difficulty.
Is it the Deadpool trailer that's got you into it?
No. I think it's just I always like to start on the lower leagues, so you've got something to work towards, like promotion, then eventually Champions League and stuff. Whereas if you start in the Premier League, you're already kind of there.
See, what I like to do, I like to take a team that is right near the top of the game, but not quite there, who has a decent budget, and just craft a decent team that could realistically compete. But I tend to play a single season and start again.
Yeah, so I'm working my way through that. Like I said, I cranked the difficulty up one more notch, so I'm starting to lose a few more games and draw a few more games, which is it's frustrating, but it's creating a more dynamic league table where I'm only in 4th at the moment. Yeah. So I'm starting to get in my rhythm.
I don't have this game. Is the difficulty better? Because before, sometimes it just felt like it just throw you a bullshit game where the game forces you to lose.
So it's the version of the game where they've pivoted from attack to defense again. So the defending ability of the game is shambolic, but the attacking is alright. So my goal difference now is 75-4.
Yeah.
35 against, I think, at the moment. So I'm hammering them in. I'm getting into some good rhythm. But defending, there's just no, when the computer decides it wants a goal, it practically just ballerina dances around me and puts it in the back of the net. And I feel like there's nothing I can do to defend, and it's so irritating.
That's what's always frustrated me about the AI, is sometimes they'll just move a defender out of position.
Yeah.
It's what are you doing? I didn't tell you to do that. Just hold your line.
Yeah, it does feel glitched. Some of the moves in the attacks, like the jockey, where I think you hold down X to just jockey someone. They don't put a leg in now. So my way of playing is I usually jockey a player, force them to make a move, and then intercept. And now what's happening is my defenders just kind of jockey, and then they just walk around me and score. And it's as a defender, you would have acted on that, but we digress. It's FIFA rebranded, same shit.
Going hard, aim for the knees.
Yeah, this year bad defence, which means next year's version, or this year's version, I should say, will be flipped, just to make it feel different. But I'll buy it on the same. So yeah, I'll keep you up to date.
Okay. I don't know if I will buy it. I haven't missed it this year, actually.
Not missed anything.
Yeah.
I think I wanted it because it was the first EA FC, the non-FIFA variant, so I bought the disc version just to have.
I think I was hoping for some significant improvements to things like career mode, and they don't seem to ever bother with it.
No, the Korean leagues aren't even in it.
Yeah, exactly. There you
I think
go.
they are, actually. I think one of them is.
I want to play as a North Korean team in the World Cup. That's my dream for FIFA. That's got weird.
Might be waiting a while.
Yeah. So I have been playing. I finished A Way Out last night.
Oh, yes. You saw it. You said on our Discord.
I did.
Enjoy it?
I did, very much. Gets really quite sad at the end.
Oh dear.
It's quite an emotional story, to be honest. Well, yeah, me and the girlfriend.
Two brothers escaping from prison, right? That's that one?
No, they're not brothers.
They're not?
No, they're just like cellmates who meet in prison, then break out together, then go on the run, and they find out they've got a vendetta against the same guy.
Oh.
So then they start working together to take that guy out. So there's only actually a small section of it is in the prison.
Hmm. This is Joseph Farah's game that eventually that then became...
the next one was a Take-Two. It's Hazelight Studios' first game.
Yeah, that's mad, that.
Yeah.
Lots of praise.
Really good. I highly recommend it. It's only about 5 hours long for the Platinum.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Yep, so it's a nice little weekend game. And other than that, what have I been playing? Played a bit of Fallout the same time as you. And also... last night, me and the girlfriend, we started playing Overcooked 2.
Hey, that's not going to help our relationship at all.
She'd never played it before.
Wow, that's going to test one of your patiences.
No, it's gone fine. I'm quite a patient dude, and she's
getting
getting
wait
better.
till you get to the later levels.
Yeah,
that part, she's getting better. Step up your game.
Yeah, I'm getting better as well, because it's been a few years since I played, but yeah, she's enjoying it.
Shake that
I'm enjoying it, so it's good.
Oh, Overcooked 1?
2.
Specifically 2. Okay.
1 wasn't on PlayStation Plus, but I think she has now actually bought it.
Right. I was going to say, because Overcooked 1, I think, had the more realistic Platinum Trophy. 2 got a bit over the top with the later levels with achievement requirements.
Yeah.
But fun all the same. We'll probably do a 3, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if we got an announcement for 3 some point at this Summer Game Fest or by Christmas.
Yeah, Team 17.
It does feel about right, yeah.
Yeah.
Give us another Worms while you're at it.
Worms Armageddon 2 and Overcooked 3.
Worms Fallout Shelter.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be a great combination, a great cross-marketing between Worms and Fallout in the Fallout Shelter.
Worms Fallout.
Yeah.
The name is already there. It makes sense what it is. Yeah.
That's
get
probably
in the
already
vault,
a game.
Get your worms, come back to the surface and retake it using the worms mechanics.
Yeah, I don't think I've been
There you go.
playing anything else interesting. I do know what my next game that I intend to sink quite a bit of time in, because when you're kind of in between games, you keep bouncing between stuff, hoping maybe this game will capture my attention.
Yeah.
Oh, I did start playing The Outer Worlds.
Oh yes, you said on Thursday's stream.
Yes, I did start playing that on Xbox, but I have rage quit it.
Okay.
The reason I rage quit is very simple. The auto aim in that game is excessive, and you can't turn it off.
All right, so it just does it for you.
Yeah, but I hate auto aim games. I don't mind it existing, but for me, it's an accessibility feature that should be switched off. I want to just let me switch it off. Let me play the game. I hate when the game interferes with you playing it. Like if I miss a shot, that's on me. But it was like when I started playing, it was like a character would walk slightly in front of the guy I'm shooting, so I'll just snap over to them. So it's like, I'm not
rigid.
Not about this at all. And there's no option in the menus to turn it off. So come on, devs. Like if you want going to put auto aim in your game, let me turn it off, because that's on me then.
Outer Worlds 2 probably due early next year as well, I would reckon.
But I may one day try it on PC when I don't have to deal with auto aim bullshit. But I just hate auto aiming games. It's one of the first things out in the shooters. I always go into the menus and see if it's there, and if it is, I turn it off.
Well, I'm curious to see where your journey takes you into Star Wars Jedi Survivor, because you're a year late to the party.
I am.
It is perfectly aligned with Star Wars Day next weekend.
Yeah, because I was playing Zelda, so I didn't get round to it. And then conveniently, he's come to Game Pass, which is one of our news stories today. But talking about the news, Chris, would you like to introduce us to the graciously gathered Gamer Guild Gazette, aka the news? The news. And as always, our news is brought to you by our Gamer Guild heroes, which you can join for as little as 99p, giving you early access to this very show every single week. And occasionally we have some other stuff that we put out for members only first. We never actually lock everything to members only forever. So anything that members get will eventually come to everyone else. But members sometimes do get stuff first. And other than that, you get badges and stickers and custom emojis in our chat for when we go live.
And who doesn't want a free badger?
Yeah, free badges for everyone. You just have to go collect them yourself.
Remembering, I don't know if you ever got to it, but in the Far Cry games, the kind of running theme is that the most vicious, difficult villains, like wild animals you can come across to hunt, are honey badgers.
They are. I think honey badgers in real world are actually meant to be quite vicious.
Yeah,
isn't it something like every
territorial.
Far Cry game just seems to have one enemy that is just, for some reason, the aggression is just turned sky high.
Yeah, there's always a bastard enemy. There's Far Cry Blood Dragon has the cassoraries, like the big ostrich type creatures. They're vicious as anything, like velociraptors. But yeah, it's honey badgers you want to avoid.
Indeed. I'm trying to think of a good pun to start this first story, because it's about Embracer Group, and they're no longer embracing themselves. That was bad.
Done it.
Yeah, it was bad, but I got there.
They're embracing change.
They are embracing change. I knew there was something in there. But the Embracer Group have announced news that they are splitting up.
Oh.
The band's broken up. They're all going their separate ways. Now we have to deal with all the members having their disappointing solo albums.
The band that never actually released anything good in the first place.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
They brought out Was it Dead Island?
Dead Island 2.
Yeah. So they got one. They got one. They got one single that charted.
So where are they going to end up then? What's the crack?
They've announced that basically they're splitting up the Embracer Group into 3 different bits. So we'll have Asmodee Group, Coffee Stain and Friends, and Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends. Interesting. The last one's quite interesting how they've went for that for the name of one of their things. So I don't even know where to start with this because there's a huge write-up on their own website.
Yeah, I'm reading from gamesindustry.biz, so it says, they'll be split up into those aforementioned groups. Asmodee will split off within the next 12 months, while Coffee Stain will separate during calendar year 2025. Shares will be distributed between shareholders of the Embracer Group, so they're basically getting divided up. The company claims separating into 3 entities will enable each to focus on its own core strategies and grow their own ways. The 900 fully owned or controlled IP across Embracer will move into the relevant new entity. So yeah, basically those descriptions are going to break them up. It says Asmodee will focus on tabletop games. So the Asmodee Group, for those who don't know, they pretty much own a lot of the board game, pretty much the biggest chunk of the board game industry in the world. So if you've ever played a board game, chances are they're involved in some way. So they are quite financially viable on their own outside of video games. They're going to focus on that. Coffee Stain titles are going to range from AA to PC, console, mobile. So that seems to be like their lower tier. And then, weirdly enough, Middle-earth Enterprises are going to concentrate on AAA games for PC and console. They're going to handle Embracer's biggest franchises, such as Lord of the Rings and Tomb Raider. So we are in a weird place where the way they're broken down, I don't know where you want to tackle this. I guess just go in order, right? We'll start with the Asmodee Group.
Yeah, Asmodee, that's probably the least relevant for a video game podcast, but we'll cover it.
So we'll get that out the way. The biggest kind of point to pick from that one is, as part of the restructuring, they've actually saddled the Asmodee Group with 900 million euros worth of their debt. So they've split them into 3, and then they've put a big chunk of Embracer's debt into this one particular bracket. And they've put it against like assets and loans and stuff, which, considering Asmodee makes a lot of money on its own right, I think it's probably the tactically best move for them. But it seems like an awfully dick move if you're part of the Asmodee kind of feeder family now.
It is, but I think because Asmodee Group is probably the most profitable of them. And bear in mind, technically, the ownership of the Embracer Group isn't changing. It's just splitting into 3 separate legal entities. And I'm assuming that the ratio of the shares is going to be split evenly. So every owner will, at launch, will own the same percentage of shares for each of them as they would of Embracer. That's my assumption, at least out the gate. So if Asmodee is the most profitable, giving them the lion's share of the debt means, yes, while they're in a lot of debt, they're the most likely to be able to pay off it, and it probably won't be crippling. Where if you give that a Coffee Stain, we're going to focus on AA, mobile, and some PC, maybe occasionally verging into their AAA, that'll just kill them.
Yeah, I think the difference is the board game stuff doesn't need as much capital investment. So like the other ones, as you said, they need money pumped into them to make money, whereas I think the board game and tabletop game element, it's quite a cut and dry practice of like distribution and creation. It does say from an article in wargamer.com, in layman's terms, both these statistics reflect the ratio between the firm's debt and the annual earnings. A factor of 0.6 means Embracer will carry the debt equivalent to roughly 0.6 years, while Asmodee will be carrying the debt of equivalent to 3.9 years profit in debt. So basically means like, Asmodee getting basically 4 times the amount to shoulder as the rest of Embracer Group. But as you said, it's all under the same umbrella, so I think it's more just asset shuffling and where taxes are paid, and some geniuses who crunch numbers have figured out that that's the best approach for that arm of the business.
Potential problem, however, could be for further investment. So if people are looking at Asmodee Group separate to the others going forward, which they will be able to do, and they've got $900 million of debt, that might be a bit of a maybe a bit too spicy for my liking kind of thing. So it could have negative effects on Asmodee. But I think this is, to be honest, this splitting might be actually part of the plan. That debt, like where they're putting the debt, might be the reason they split it. How do you service the debt? If Coffee Stain and Middle-earth Enterprises are really kind of holding it back in terms of profitability, give Asmodee the license to go basically do their own thing again. Unfortunately, saddle them with the debt because they'll eventually pay it off, and it gives the others kind of a clean slate.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Pivoting to the video game side of it, Coffee Stain and Friends. I don't know what the and Friends patterns. It sounds like some kind of Saturday morning sitcom
The
TV
Friends
show or
is gonna be
something.
dropped, isn't it?
It's so odd. But I think Embracer's never really put their stamp on any of these studios since they acquired them. Like it's in the small print, but it's never really been front and center like EA or Ubisoft. It's like we own them, but they've always done their own thing still.
Embracer never really. I think one of the problems is they've never really had an identity of what they are as a publisher, because it's just acquire. They've got so much stuff, so much disparate stuff, and because the quality has never been there in the AAA space, I think that actually reflects negatively when they just try to do a AA game.
Yeah,
because they get associated with like that lack of quality. Where they're probably very good, so this could be good for Coffee Stain, because they go, we're going to focus on single A, double A, indie games. Forget about AAA, so you know what you're getting from them. It gives them that identity back.
Absolutely. The Coffee Stain and Friends division encompasses Coffee Stain Studios, THQ Nordic, Amplifier Games, Ghost Ship, Tarsier, Invest, Tuxedo Labs, and a few more. So they've got about 200 IPs to play with, including Deep Rock Galactic, Goat Simulator, Wreckfest, and Valheim. THQ Nordic's also the ones who do like the SpongeBob games, the recent South Park Snow Day games, Tarsier, Little Nightmares as well. So
there's some good
they've
stuff
got some talent there. Absolutely.
Wreckfest is good, Goat Simulator is good, Valheim is very popular. The THQ Nordic stuff it can be a mixed bag.
It's family friendly, isn't it?
Family friendly. It can be a bit of a mixed bag, but when they do like an IP game like a SpongeBob, well, they just keep doing them, so they must be profitable.
So Amplifier Games. Why do I recognise Amplifier Games?
Amplifier. What did they do?
So Amplifier Games are a subsidiary of Tarsier Studios, of course. It's
like
all just like
Band
the shell games.
Or something like that, one like a rhythm game thing.
Amplifier Game Invest. It's called Amplifier Game Invest, so that's the problem. About when you go to their website, if it doesn't immediately tell you what games to do, that's slightly concerning.
There's a Steam store page. Let's see what they've got.
It just seems like a publishing arm.
This might just be Frontier.
It just looks like it's a publishing arm rather than an actual game developer.
I don't see you've done much yet.
So in terms of them, though, that I guess makes sense. The big one we should obviously get to is going to be Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends, where Embracer acquired so many studios over the last, and IP more importantly, for millions and millions of pounds, dollars, euros. This is where it comes. So the Middle-earth and Friends group will include, which when you read them out, it's insane, the talent there. Crystal Dynamics, Dambuster Studios, Adios Montreal, Flying Wild Hog Studios, Tripwire, Vertigo Games, Warhorse Studios, and 4A Games, amongst others. They also own IP such as... they also own Metro publisher PlayOn, Dark Horse Comics, Free Mode as part of that entity, so there's a different element. In addition to the Lord of the Rings and Tomb Raider, Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends will also be responsible for Dead Island, Killing Floor, Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a new game in the conversation, Metro franchise, amongst others. The biggest thing for me is just like this particular sect of Embracer Group. They not only have the talent, but they have like the IP as well. The Lord of the Rings and Tomb Raider are huge in the gaming space.
What do you think about the name, though? I don't like that I'm Friends, but I also don't like Middle-earth Enterprises. I think because, again, going back to what I said about Coffee Stain, they're having their own identity. This feels like the identity is there, but it's not in Middle-earth.
Yeah.
It's in... like Metro, it's in Dead Island, it's in Tomb Raider. It is in Middle-earth, but have they produced a decent Lord of the Rings game yet?
No.
So it feels like there's something more encompassing. But I can see this being rebranded in the year or two time, to be honest.
My suspicion why this is because we know the Tolkien estate are usually quite defensive over certain things and rights, and I feel like there must be something in their contract that says we need to be represented as Middle-earth Enterprises, because that's what the name was beforehand.
Yeah.
And the fact they're front and centre seems like they just have some contractual obligation to owning the rights where you can't rebrand them maybe under anything other than Middle-earth Enterprises.
How is Middle-earth stylized actually in the Lord of the Rings narrative? Is it actually Middle-earth as this is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is actually the correct stylization of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if it could be like a weird legal thing, or it might just be you know what, we've paid a lot of money to have the access to these rights, we're going to be able to use it.
Yeah, but again, the and Friends just makes it seem so like unprofessional, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, is it like Lara and Friends, like Tomb Raider? Does the butler come out and some other characters?
Yeah, considering this is the premium arm of your business now.
Yeah, And we know like IDOS have done like things like the Guardians of the Galaxy game recently, which unfortunately probably isn't going to get a sequel. Flying the Wild Hog is the guys who just did Evil West. Shout out to Evil West again. So they are I would say more double A, but seemingly they've been segmented off into these guys. We know that like the Metro franchise is pretty big, but we haven't had a new title for a few years now. We know Dead Island was successful, but again, I think you're probably looking at another 5+ years for a follow-up to that.
I think I really can see, like, the former Embracer group, because we know they like to do a rebrand. They're almost as bad as us for it.
Yeah.
I can see them, like, maybe Coffee Stain. I don't mind the name Coffee Stain, but I can see them changing that to just THQ Nordic. Put that front and centre, because that's probably the most identifiable of the studios there. And maybe with the Middle-earth Enterprises, maybe you go the Crystal Dynamics route.
It's just like,
you'd be called the publisher Crystal Dynamics, and then there's also Crystal Dynamics as one of your developers, and then the other studios in there.
They're going to need to do something, because like you can't tell me that the next Tomb Raider game is going to come out and the opening splash screen is going to say Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends.
Yeah.
On the front, like it's just so always like Lara going to appear in a Hobbit game. Like, come on,
Crystal Dynamics.
It's a bit odd.
Still have a bit of weight behind the reputation from what they did with the Tomb Raider franchise under Square Enix. So calling your publisher that.
Yeah. Unless this goes back to like thinking bigger business pictures, great, they're all individualized again. Is this just priming them back up for being sold on yet again? Like, they've just got rid of Gearbox after acquiring them a few years ago. Yeah,
I think they've been in absolute dire straits financially, and this might be like the panic button, like, oh, actually, if we split up the group into 3 separate legal entities, saddle Asmodee with the bulk of the debt, the lion's share of the debt, because they can handle it. It sucks for Asmodee, but it stops everything going under. It stops everything going under. If by saddle Asmodee, and then Coffee Stain and Middle-earth can then kind of develop their own thing. And these good games in all these studios, and
absolutely
with different corporate structures as well, it means to be able to focus on what are the needs for Middle-earth Studios versus what the needs for Coffee Stain versus what are the needs of Asmodee, rather than like senior manager and probably having this huge portfolio and not having a clue what they're doing because it's just too big and unmanageable. So they keep buying more stuff. Yeah, this might be what it takes to settle down the Embracer Group into something stable.
Yeah, I just want to see what's going to come to light, because I think as huge Lord of the Rings fans ourselves, and I'm a huge fan of the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy, it's like I just want to see something now. Like, I feel like we've been talking about Embracer for 3-4 years at this point, and we're still yet to really see anything. You mentioned Dead Island, and other than a couple of SpongeBob entries and a couple of like kid racing games and family-friendly games, we've not really seen that much from them, and that is their problem, is they're spending money, but they ain't making that much money.
They've done a lot, but achieved nothing.
Yeah.
And that's where I think, this is why I think stability is probably, once they've kind of consolidated the debt in whatever way that means, all right, right, that's done, we can now focus on the future rather than trying to keep our heads above water. Mm-hmm. Stability is going to be so important for all these developers, because if you're working at, say, Crystal Dynamics, and you hear Embracer Group, any day you're expecting the call to go, by the way, we're done. That's it. Turn off the lights. Like, the staff working there, this is when you're going to start bleeding your best talent.
That is the risk, isn't it?
Something like Crystal Dynamics falls from grace because all the best talent goes off, gets poached by other studios because they're worried about their job security. They might not want to leave, but if you're on the job where, like, any day you're expecting their phone to go and to go, by the way, you've been made redundant, you're going to already be shipping around.
Yeah. Well, we had obviously the layoffs at the beginning of the year, but you're completely right. Those studios who have got like brilliant talent and they've put out some stellar games over the last couple of years, in particular like Crystal and Adios, who were like safe under that Square Enix banner and then randomly got sold for like a bargain cut price of $300 million. Which is obscene. If you think of how much like Sony paid for Bungie, like 1-point-something billion, and how much Xbox paid for Activision Blizzard King, $300 million is like a blink in the eye, right?
I wonder.
But like you said, if they leave,
I wonder what the value of Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends could be worth. With the IP,
but we've not.
The IP.
We've not seen anything from it. Like, it's not WB, so we're not going to see anything that ties in with the Peter Jackson movies. That's their own entity. They have their own deal with Middle-earth Enterprises. So you're not going to see, like, a Shadow of Mordor War follow-up. It's going to be something different. EA owns Battle for Middle-earth, so you're not going to see an RTS. We know they're working on a Lord of the Rings MMO, RPG, whatever RTS with Amazon Studios.
Yeah.
But whether that materializes, like, who knows? Rings of Power is doing its thing on TV, and... I don't know. I'm just going to go read the books.
It's interesting you mentioned EA, because the reason why I was wondering, like, the value of it is splitting it up like this. Could this make it enticing for someone to come in and buy? And EA might be... If I'm EA, I'm looking at this and going, I get the Lord of the Rings IP. Again, Battle for Middle-earth was an EA game. We can, with the IP, we can reintroduce that.
And let's not forget Two Towers and Return of the King. Action adventure games on PS2. Yeah,
it gives you access to revisit stuff like that. Revisit some old classics. Tomb Raider is good. We'll get Dead Island, and you're like, maybe this is it could be an interesting play. Some interesting IP there.
There's some Deadwood as well.
Metro's always quite popular.
I think it would fit well with an EA, actually.
Yeah.
But again, if you're looking around, like, you've got to imagine there's hunger to acquire. Just Crystal and Adios Montreal alone are probably worth the investment into that particular enterprise section.
And I'm surprised I'm saying this, because a few years ago I absolutely wouldn't have been. But I kind of trust EA to handle the IP. You look what they're doing with Star Wars at the moment. You go, oh, you guys get it now. You currently get it. You know how to produce a really good game. So they could revisit.
Yeah, and for all things said and done, is EA games have always got that, like, AAA polish on them. Even like Immortals of Avium, which obviously was only published by them, but, like, that game looked phenomenal. As bad as it was received.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 was absolutely slammed, but the gameplay is amazingly.
And it looks gorgeous to this day as well.
So they've got that polish. They know how to handle the IP. They just need to get. I think they went through a period where they were so obsessed with microtransactions. They became the poster child for it.
I think a lot of publishers and studios have learned a lot of lessons in the last 10 years.
I think we've found in a lot of places a nice balance where they can exist. People are used to them. Well, don't be too aggressive with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, it's again all change over there. It's just it absolutely I just begrudge the fact that we won't be getting, like, a new Tomb Raider entry for, like, a good couple of years, and then if they're doing a reboot, I just want a fourth entry in the reboot series. I don't need to see a new look Lara. I don't need to see, like, a new cast of characters. I just need to see another, like, mini open world adventure in the vein of Uncharted, which is what served the reboot so well. And the last entry was actually done by Eidos because Crystal moved on to the Avengers game. So, again, them coming back to Tomb Raider, which they are doing, should be great. But, again, it's all time, isn't it? It's all time and investment. It's like, are we not going to see it until 2030?
Yeah, again.
It's like, oh, man.
I think I summed up the Embrace nice. They've got a lot of ambition. They do a lot of things, but they seem to achieve nothing. There's like, if you walk into an office and, like, everyone's really busy shouting sort of things going on, and they go, okay, so what do you actually do? And everyone's like, I've got to deal with the accounts. He's dealing with the finance. He's over there on marketing. But what's the product?
Yeah,
it feels like one of them situations where there's a lot of stuff, a lot of work happens, but nothing really comes out the door of any real note.
And you've got Lars Wingfors as Group CEO still. To round this out, in an open letter, he reflected on Embrace's journey so far, noting that it's not always been a straight road, but I am very proud of the achievements made possible by thousands of talented individuals who create exceptional content entertaining millions of people worldwide. And he goes on to talk about the reason for it and stuff, but yeah, I'm sure he'll still take his bonus after the layoffs and stuff, and all of the essentially restructuring's been his fault. We should say as a caveat, they'd probably be in a much better place if that Saudi investment group fund hadn't fell through. That was worth like $1 billion to them.
That is true.
I think they put all their eggs in that basket and it backfired on them massively.
But as I said now, Discord, when you're dealing with $1 billion investments, you don't spend the money till the contracts are fully signed.
I think their plan was to build up all this amazing IP and then hand over it to them and go, like, look what we've got, and they go, that's amazing. Here's the $1 billion investment. Let's see what that looks like. And then, for whatever reason, they opted to buy Newcastle United instead.
But yeah, just as a business, I know a lot of businesses do like agree massive deals on just like words alone, but it's like, how hard is it to get, okay, we've kind of agreed this in principle, my lawyer's going to write up a contract and send it to you as an agreement in principle to sign that, there we go, and then at this date you will sign the formal contract after maybe in a month's time, and then we can start spending the money because you're in.
Yeah, it's almost like they were making like a nice tasty like Thanksgiving meal, and they had the turkey plumped up with every IP you could possibly have.
They put the chicken in the oven before they even went to buy the veg.
I mean, yeah, the big so it's all there ready to go, but then they find out like the actual investment vegan or something like that. Yeah. It's like, oh, sorry, I don't like turkey. It's like shit.
Yeah.
But odd analogies aside, I think we just need to see the games now. Like,
we do. Talking about games, Stellar Blade, we have some reviews in.
Yes.
So before we go into the reviews, what is your first kind of thoughts? Stellar Blade, are you any interest at all?
So I played the demo. I really enjoyed the demo. I'm in that place where I need something new to play, so I'm very much on the fence. At this moment in time, it's purely financial. Is the one reason that I'm not buying it, because I've got a list of other games in the back catalogue that are free to play, like a brand new Fallout update, or I could go back. I've still got Cyberpunk that I want to go back to. I bought that at Christmas and I've not played, and it's that thing where it's like I need to refrain from just spending money for the sake of it for every new PlayStation exclusive that comes out, because that's what I tend to do. But then I've still got things like Death Stranding I could jump into and check out, and the director's cut's there. I've got this itch. I've been watching Shogun on Disney Plus. I've got this itch to go play Ghost of Tsushima, or maybe do I get Rise of the Ronin now? That's a little bit cheaper, a few months detached. But Stellar Blade, thoroughly enjoyed the demo, played it through to the end. Game looks gorgeous. The world seems really fun, interesting, and off the back of Final Fantasy 16, that's what it seems most like, which means I probably know I'll enjoy it. It's not as Souls-like as everyone makes out to be. I know that was a big focus of like, oh, it's basically like Sekiro.
It has a difficulty slider.
I put it on story mode, just enjoy it in story mode. But yeah, and I think part of me wants to support it for all this like supposed controversy that comes around it, of like, oh, she's an attractive lady, and oh, did you see the whole racist thing that was happening this week?
No, I didn't.
So apparently in the game, it's been patched out now, so it's already a non-starter problem. But within Stellar Blade, there was graffiti all over the world, and the graffiti said the word hard, H-A-R-D. And then in a particular part of the city that you're in, there's a shop in the game where you get your cosmetics and stuff from, called the R Shop, because the lady who owns the shop's name begins with the letter R. So it's literally called a big neon sign that says R and then shop underneath it. And the way the game does textures and walls and graffiti, it put the word hard on the wall next to the sign R Shop. And I don't know if it's a cultural thing or not, but apparently in America, that's a substitute word in today's world for the N-word. Hard R, by the way. Not the separate words, just hard R is a substitute for the N-word in America.
Okay.
I had no clue of this. I very much doubt the developers who live in South Korea have that in their lexicon.
Yeah.
or are aware of cultural stuff. And this is what it goes back to. I was listening to a few podcasts around. It's like this game's getting like overly criticised for sexualized character in a way, yes. But then at the same time, if you look at the culture of South Korea... Like I was listening to a few shows, and on one of the podcasts, they actually had someone who was South Korean. He was saying, like, in their culture, like that the stereotypical look is what they strive to. Like that's their culture. Like makeup, cosmetics. Apparently, even in South Korea, 30% of the cosmetic and makeup industry is made up by men, because like there's this urge to like look pretty attractive, like stylized in a certain way. And the main character in this game is based on a real life model, so it's not like they've just made a fake character. It's like it looks like the person they've based it on.
For me, it's the marketing. They've screwed them with that, because there's nothing wrong with being an attractive woman and having your video game character being an attractive woman. It's the first trailer focused on it too much. Rather than focusing on what the game is, they focus on the jiggle of the ass. That's where it's like, come on, guys, like maybe grow up a little bit. Again, nothing wrong with being attractive. It's the classic video game armor. When the heavy the armor for men, it gets bigger and bulkier, but it gets skinnier for women, like more revealing.
If she does wear the bikini outfit, which is in the game, apparently she does take 30% more melee damage. So there is real world impacts on choosing the wrong outfit for battle. I will say though, it's interesting again, just all like the controversy. It's like I've never heard of hard R like at all ever in my life. So
I'll take that as a cultural difference that they just weren't aware of. That I think.
But why should they be? If it's in South Korea and they're putting out words that they're not connected, and obviously the way the games are so big now, the way it does textures and graffiti, it's probably just the coding is like it puts graffiti in random places on random walls, it puts the logo in random places. Like just because they're separate doesn't mean just because they happen to be next to each other visually. That's not. And I've heard podcasts going off saying like, "Oh, as a developer intentionally put it in there."
No,
like,
probably not.
No, they've not.
My assumption or something like that is this is the mistake. Obviously, talking as a white guy in my 30s, kind of got cheat code when it comes to not being racially abused, so I don't know how someone who has suffered racism might perceive it. But I think sometimes you do go like, you know what, cultural difference there, it's made in South Korea, this is very much a localised American thing seemingly, maybe not, but I'm not aware. Guys, this maybe change that.
Yeah, they've patched it out already.
Yeah, there you go.
And they've not apologised, but they said like it wasn't intentional, no offence was intended. But again, like this is now detracting from the launch of like I've seen headlines going like, "Oh, Stellar Blade controversy, Stellar Blade racism." It's like, or your headlines could be new IP reviews really well.
Yeah.
Like in the tough industry that we're in, I think focusing on such a little tiny small thing that obviously wasn't intentional is taking away from the great scoring that it's got.
Yeah.
But
yeah, by all means.
In terms of the game itself.
Guys, you're doing an accidental racism there, and they go, "Oh, sorry about that, we'll get patched out." And then you go into your team, guys, this was an accidental racism, wasn't it? Because we ain't about that in our studio. And he goes, "Yeah, fine, we'll move on, we've learned." That's sometimes all it needs to be.
But
as long as it is accidental, yeah,
of course it is. Yeah. But we do know the game. Like again, it makes no sense. But the game's media like to, especially the ones based in like West Coast, California, LA.
The selling clicks. The selling clicks.
Yeah. But we're not them. But in terms of the game, though, it's reviewing really well for again this company. Remember, this is their first console game they've ever made. And I think from a visual standpoint, the enemy boss fights variety, the storyline it is very much sci-fi beat for beat. Like if you've ever played a sci-fi action game before, you are going to know what's coming up in every chapter of the story. But it's fun. Yeah, it's an exclusive, and it's reviewing well. It's about 8 out of 10 on average, I'd say, across the whole board.
Yeah, I was interested in it, but again, similar to you, it's a financial decision. I'm not interested enough to pay the full price for it right now.
Yeah,
and I think it was the trailer kind of put me off, because I do think when you overly sexualize the character in the trailer, it cheapens it a bit. I want to see what the game is. You can have a sexy character in there, but you don't need to focus on it. Focus on the game rather than the character. That was my initial feelings with the trailer.
Out of curiosity to play devil's advocate, is there a bit of double standards when it comes to Final Fantasy Rebirth has just put Tifa all over everything in scantily clad outfits with big boobies? And there's nothing seemingly wrong about that because it's part of an older game from a different generation remade?
Yeah, I do think Tifa is overly sexualized, actually.
But it's interesting how the one gets loads of attention and one doesn't, where it's like, come on, guys. Like, you can't have your bread and butter over here, but this one isn't allowed.
Yeah. I think the reason Rebirth gets a bit of a pass is because of the quality of the game. And yes, she was overly sexualized right from the beginning, right when she was first conceived back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And they've just been true to the character that already existed. So that's, I think, where the pass comes into play.
But it's interesting, isn't it? How it get, like, I've seen the internet like gushing over Tifa for the last few months now. Like when the game launched,
gushing over Tifa since the internet existed.
And I see some of the statuettes that get released in like Japan and stuff, and it's like I see Wario64 was post like the collectibles, and you're like, that is not human dimensions of these people. But interesting, like, good games. Just to go back to the scores as well, Game Informer gives it an 8.75 out of 10, and I quote, "The further I played Interstellar Blade, the more it surprised me with the depth of its action and the breadth of its play experience. The story never clicked for me, but the world building, top-notch art and silky animation certainly did. Even when certain devastating bosses made me curse, it was always because I'd made a mistake and I was left eager to dive back in and give it another shot. I loved the gradual mastery as it developed and as I explored many interlocking systems and combos and special moves. Stellar Blade is unabashed in its titillating approach to sex and violence, but unlike so many games that those appealed as a crutch, it's also a top-notch action experience that can easily stand up with the big girls." And I think a lot of these reviews basically set the game up for. If they hopefully ever work on a sequel, I think the foundation is here to elevate it so the sequel will be amazing.
Yeah, I think, there's the foundations for a sequel or for this to become a franchise when reviewers are complimenting the world building.
Yeah.
Not because you can tell a good story as a one-off, but if you're complimenting the world building, that means you've set something up that you can tell more stories within.
Yeah, I would definitely say for you especially, like, check out the demo, because it is like the opening scene of like you crash onto a beach and there's explosions, there's stuff like it's so visually beautiful. It's just one of them things, like you said, in another world. I might have bought it this month.
I think this might be one of them things where one day one day it'll come to PlayStation Plus or something down the line, and go, oh, I remember that looking like a pretty cool game. Yeah. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, but it's it just goes back to, like, again, Rise of the Ronin. Like, from what I've heard about that, I would probably really enjoy that. But it's just, we're at that place. I think you said many times on the show before. It needs to be something like 9 or 10
for the price.
To, like, look at for the price. Yeah,
for me, because it comes down to time. When you have limited time, I want to maximize my gaming what I'm doing with my gaming time. So a 7 out of 10 rarely is going to cut it for me unless I'm very much, I really want to play this game. Yeah. Something that is generally perceived as a 7 out of 10, I'm going to go, why am I playing that over a 9 out of 10 that I haven't been... Like Jedi Survivors, I didn't get round to it last year, so I'm glad it's come to Game Pass.
Yeah,
Stellar Blade could be that. Stellar Blade could be this next year.
Absolutely.
For PlayStation Plus. It's that kind of thing, like, you got to pick your battles.
You do. Inverse 8 out of 10, VGC 4 out of 5, so 8 out of 10. VGC 24/7, that's a bit of a cop-out because it's the same website. And IGN 7 out of 10. So yeah, 7 to 8 seems to be the average, but for a first crack at the whip, seemingly they've done a lot of things right there. So yeah, shout out to Shift Up. Good on you.
Indeed. But guess what, Chris? People can't fly. Because People Can Fly, the developer, have just scrapped Project Dagger after Take-Two pulled publishing support. These guys can't get a break, can they?
No, it doesn't seem that way. I will point out, I think my neighbours just started lawn mowing, so if I go jump in and out of being on mute, it's just to save our audience's ears.
All right, yeah.
But yeah, People Can Fly. Outriders, very well received. People Can Fly still kind of got a bit screwed over on, from what we remember reporting on the show. They didn't get the payout from Square Enix still to this day, so all of the profit that supposedly Outriders had made and all the success it made, they still haven't financially benefited from it, which means their last output has garnered no profit.
But it
it
actually wasn't a commercial success. It found its way back, but it was basically a commercial flop on launch. And I think it was one of them with Outriders. It was marketed. They struggled to market it. Because it looked like one thing, but then they were saying it was another thing. But then they kept showing elements of the game that made it look like a games as a service, when it wasn't that. So it got confusing. It came out the gate on launch. It flopped. I think it was things like on Stadia. I think it took about 9 months or something to get the first patch or something. So it was kind of broken. So it really got a bit of a reputation hit. And
the size of the studio was shown.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with Square Enix was. Maybe they have to hit certain thresholds, milestones before they get payouts, which seems to be a bad deal, to be honest, for People Can Fly. You'd think maybe you have a small percentage of every sale, which increases once you get past like the certain thresholds, rather than nothing. Because surely they have like a legal case, but they just can't seem to get any luck with publishers, with Take-Two now pulling out.
Yeah, it seems like People Can Fly are going to be one of those studios where like they put out quality stuff, but seemingly it's never enough to break through to that like next stratosphere of like success or like financial viability. And it's a shame because Project Dagger, again, would have been a new IP, which we always like strive for. We love to see that. Obviously, had a deal made with Take-Two, who's the GTA Borderlands publisher. And yeah, we know back in September 22 when they pulled out, they took kind of 6 months last year to refocus and see what they would do, and they put some of their team onto it. But evidently, it never came to fruition. I think we're in that place with the games industry now where, as we've said, if you're not able to put out a product that's going to get 9s and 10s. It's just not worth the time and investment. And it's a shame because, this studio also had some layoffs earlier on this year. And you got to imagine Outriders 2 is probably their best option, realistically. And that doesn't... That doesn't garner... But do you do something brand new and hope that it lands well, or do you stick with something that's at least garnered like review success? Like, we enjoyed what we played of Outriders. It struck gold on Game Pass, but whether that's enough, I'm not sure. What else have they even got in their wheelhouse?
I don't know. With
Bulletstorm? Nope.
With no real IP to land on. Again, Outriders was a bit of a commercial flop, so that's a risky move to go there again. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Project Dagger they've killed because it just wasn't meeting their expectations internally. Seemingly, after like last year, they kind of review it, trying to get it back on track. It just hasn't seemed to work. They having to lay people off. Yeah, I think maybe they need to become like a support studio or a remake studio or something.
I mean, seemingly the history would show that. So they were only founded in 2004. They made a game called Painkiller, but then they helped port Gears of War to Windows. Then later on, they did Bulletstorm. Then they helped port Gears of War Judgment. They helped on Fortnite, Save the World, the initial Fortnite version before that blew up in a Battle Royale. Then they did Outriders after the Fortnite support. So they have done a lot of support-based work. They did a couple of VR games, but at the moment they've got 5 projects in the works, which we know this one's just been cancelled. They're working on one with Xbox Game Studios, Project Gemini with Square Enix, which you would imagine might be Outriders 2. And then they've got 2 more internal ones. But judging by the history, I think the studio is like Outriders arguably is their breakout, and if that hasn't garnered them any money, I think you're right, these are at risk of either just becoming a support studio or folding completely.
Well, this is the thing, I know it's probably not satisfying work for a lot of the devs who want to be really creative and develop their own thing, but I think support work or remake work or remaster work, that kind of stuff, it's a money spinner really, because if you think, right, your job is to port Gears of War over to PC, that's going to be less impactful work, and then if you're getting the cut for the profits of the Gears 4 PC sales, it's lower risk. Again, with support studio stuff, they're probably paid based on milestones rather than having to sink tons of money into selling this thing, and if it doesn't sell, you're screwed. Like, you'll get paid for the work you do rather than... So it might be a case of need to take on some more of that kind of stuff to keep the pressure off their own releases a bit.
Yeah, it's I mean, Epic Games have shares in them, and I think that's always a safe bet because Epic have a couple of things in the works, which hence the Fortnite support. That makes sense if they're owned by them. The saving grace thing of all this is they're based out of Warsaw in Poland, which we know, like, cost-wise, it's a lot cheaper to employ and run a game studio in Poland. That's why we saw CD Projekt Red survive so well after the Cyberpunk kerfuffle, because the just overheads aren't as much as the rest of the world. So with a team of about 600 employees, I think...
Maybe they need to have a chat with CD Projekt Red, see if they can get some work off them. Because CD Projekt Red have a couple of things in the works.
They do.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the end of the world for them. And again, the team's got, like, obviously a good bit of quality. Like, Outriders was basically the division with special powers for me. And I enjoyed what I played of it.
What, is it 5 projects currently in the pipeline?
Mm-hmm. Give or take, yeah.
And some of them with, like, established developers and partners like Xbox and Square. Although I'd be sceptical if I was them about the Square deal right now.
Yeah, I definitely want to lock in some legal stuff.
The thing is, this could be a multi-game deal that they already signed with Outriders.
Yeah.
So they might just be stuck. We have to put it out and hope it sells well, otherwise we're in the same position again, because that's the contract we signed.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll be able to magnetize themselves to something good soon.
You mean like some Joycons?
Yes.
Nintendo. Doing crazy Nintendo stuff. But who doesn't love playing with magnets, Chris?
I don't know anyone. I'm yet to meet somebody who doesn't like to play with magnets, Richie.
Because it's impossible to not enjoy playing with magnets. When you get 2 magnets and put the positive or negative pole together and you're trying to push them, like,
it does feel like magic.
And when you manage to get them to touch,
Yeah,
like,
I remember being blown away. I know this is like a side topic, but in science and I think secondary school, when you get to play with like the magnetic field, and you put like the
iron filings,
and then you can put them on like a piece of card or something, and you see it create that shape, and you're just like, why? How? It literally is just magic. It's between magnetism and gravity. They're the last things in this world, this known world, that are just like, how? That just makes no sense that it should be a thing, but it is. It's literally witchcraft.
Yeah. Well, why are we talking about
Nintendo like to dabble in witchcraft.
Yeah, Nintendo like to dabble in witchcraft. We know that. But they also like to dabble in magnets, because there's reports coming out that the Joycons for the Nintendo Switch 2 are going to be magnetic. So they're going to remove the rails in favour of magnets.
Clip. Yeah, that's the two side clip-ins. I don't know what this could mean. I think we're expecting an announcement of the Switch 2 soon, like this year, surely.
It's got to be this summer.
Surely, got to be.
The announcement's got to be this summer. The console could be next year.
Yeah, I think either this Christmas or next March. I think when the original launched.
They tend to launch in March, because I think if you launch in March, you get the initial, here's the new thing, everyone goes and buys it. But then in the same year, in the same financial year, you get the Christmas rush as well for it.
Yeah. Agreed.
So you can almost double
seemingly it's going to be bigger, more powerful, hopefully plays Switch games, because if it doesn't, that's the big flaw. But so apparently now our Joy-Cons are just going to magnetize to the side of it, which I don't hate, I don't mind. Does it mean I can stick my Joy-Con on the fridge?
I don't know. There's a few downsides I can see. The magnet's going to have to be strong enough so it doesn't rotate when it's buckle on its hand, but then how do you get them on and off? So it has to be loose enough. But you could use an electromagnet and have a little switch, so you press a button, turns off the electricity to the magnet, and just pull it off.
Now, if magnets have taught me one thing, putting them right next to an electronical device is also risky.
Yeah,
having
Nintendo's
two
smart.
magnets. It's not going to break it or anything, but it just seemed like an inherent
really
risk.
Smart.
But I don't know, like you said, if I'm going to hold my Switch and if I get frustrated and I'll suddenly bend it, is the screen going to detach and I want to drop it on the floor and I'm going to be like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Or, there must be some mechanism that locks it in properly, surely.
And it also comes down to compatibility, because I've always said I think the main problem with the Switch family is it should have been a single ecosystem, so every dock they made should be able to fit every version of the Switch, but the Switch Lite was not dockable, I don't think, on the standard Switch dock. And also, you couldn't detach the controllers, which I always thought that was maybe a mistake as well. If you could just... If that used the same rail system, but didn't have the full functionality of like standard Joy-Cons. Yeah. So then you could just take the Joy-Cons on and put other ones on and mix and match. I think that would have been better overall for the ecosystem in a weird way. So it depends whether the Switch 2 is going to be part of that ecosystem and going to go a hard cut and stand alone. I kind of hope it is more of a Switch Pro still than a Switch 2. Yeah, I'd still mark it as like a Switch 2, but
it's definitely an odd one. We should point out as well, this comes from accessory manufacturers for Nintendo items that came out. So Vandal is the company that does it. They state that they've got basically like the dimensions of what the controller will look like, hence they know about the magnetism because there's no rail element. So this usually happens a lot with like mobile phones where the cases of a new model leak ahead of time because like naturally they need to know the shape and the form of the device before they can put in mass production of cases and
the more people
accessories
know and the less involved in your company, they're more likely for leaks.
Exactly. So this is where that comes from. But go play with magnets, Nintendo. Interesting to see what it's going to look like. But I just want that announcement. It's been like, 8 years now? 7-8 years? Would you a new one? We could actually get to a world where this Christmas we have a Switch 2, a new Xbox, and a PlayStation 5 Pro all coming out this Christmas.
Indeed. You know what else we could have coming out soon? Tales of the Shire, which is going to be a Hobbit game. Not the Hobbit as in Bilbo Baggins going on a journey to defeat a dragon, but it seemingly is going to be like a Disney Dreamlight Valley take on the Shire.
Yeah, it's from Private Division. We got a tease back in September about this one, but now we actually have like seemingly gameplay. It looks like Animal Crossing meets Lord of the Rings. You start off as a hobbit. You seemingly are going to gather resources in the Shire, do a bit of gardening, live your best hobbit life, essentially, and just make your own hobbit hole in the ground, which not personally for me. I've tried like Stardew Valley, and I enjoyed Dreamlight Valley for what it was, but like things like Animal Crossing and stuff, I think they're just a little bit too slow paced for what I look for in video games, but I appreciate them from a distance. And I know there's definitely people sink hours and days into these type of things, just gathering resources so they get the perfect bedside table or something. But it's an interesting take on Lord of the Rings. I think we think of it as like big action adventure, like grand scale warfare and stuff in this amazing, beautiful, realized world. But there is something to be said about the like hobbiting and stuff, is the cozy part of that world. And you know what, doing a bit of gardening, do a bit of resource crafting and repairing fences and stuff, it could be an interesting little kind of side spin off of this world.
My question kind of is, who is this actually for? Because these kind of cozy Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, Disney Dreamlight Valley kind of games, and Lord of the Rings fans, it seems that's a small crossover in the Venn diagram.
Yeah, I think they're aiming for the non-Lord of the Rings fans, actually, because I think a lot of people are familiar with Lord of the Rings, but not so much with...
It's weird, I don't think the Lord of the Rings IP is strong enough to front this kind of game in a weird way. Because the strength of the Lord of the Rings, while as Lord of the Rings fans ourselves, love the Shire and things about that, but we both kind of agree this is not a game for us.
No.
So this is, I guess what I mean, like the Venn diagram's a bit weird on this one. I'm not sure who's looking for this. And again, with Disney, because I do think when I've seen it, watching the trailer, Disney Dreamlight Valley is the one that's jumping out to me as a comparison point. I'm guessing there will be differences, but why play this over Disney Dreamlight Valley? And I think the Disney IP is significantly stronger in this front.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and better suited to the style of game.
Yeah, I've got much more interest in meeting Scar or Jafar or the genie as opposed to the Mr. Proudfoot guy who has hairy feet down the road.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, there's memorable characters from the Shire, from the Tolkien works, but they're kind of footnotes there to have a bit of set dressing to what Bilbo and Frodo are doing.
Yeah, Sackville Baggins.
Yeah.
But interesting. Coming to Steam, Switch, PS5, and Series X.
I bet you'll get addicted to it. I bet you I get addicted to this. If it comes to something like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, I will give it a go. And I bet you I'll get addicted to it for a short period of time, like I did with Dreamlight Valley. Yeah,
it's an interesting one actually, because if it depends on like costs and stuff like that as well. It's like one of the few games like my wife does play is Dreamlight Valley, like independently on her own, not with me like being there in the room or talking through it. So this on the Switch or something could be that like little cozy game where you just chip away at it, and she likes Lord of the Rings, so
she does.
Interesting,
indeed.
We'll see.
So let's talk about Fallout, Chris, since we're talking about base building games. Fallout 4's free PlayStation upgrade. What's going on for the PlayStation Plus version?
Well, what isn't going on with the PlayStation version? So we had this conversation on Thursday's stream of Fallout 4, because I went into Thursday thinking I'll download the PS5 version, and there was just a bit of problems with it being available. So Bethesda have addressed this on social media. It is going to be fixed, but essentially if you... So my experience, is put the Fallout 4 disc into my PS5 on Thursday, and when you go to the little 3 dots options for the product, it usually says like, which version do you want? PS5 version, PS4 version. And there was no PS5 version. It had the Game of the Year version, it had a Skyrim bundle, it had PS4 Standard Edition, but there was no PS5 one. So I went to the storefront, which it had the PS5 version, but it cost £15 to upgrade. So I thought, well, that's not the route I want to go down. I should get it for free because I have the disc. And then it seemingly came out online is that actually if you owned Fallout 4 claimable, the version is there, but if you have the PlayStation Plus version, you don't get it. So sorry, there's PlayStation Plus Extra, get it. PlayStation Plus Essentials, don't get it. To which they've came out on social media and said, we've seen some confusion regarding the free Fallout 4 Next Gen for PlayStation Plus Extra members. The Fallout 4 Next Gen update will be available to extra members through the game catalogue. Your patience is appreciated while the teams work on this. While that's good news for people who acquired it through the extra tier, it still doesn't answer the question of people who claimed it through the PlayStation Plus 20 game collection that they just scrapped. So if you bought your PS5, you got the 20 games like God of War, Days Gone, Fallout 4, Batman Arkham City was like that collection. They haven't really addressed that one yet, so there's still a bit of confusion. But the worst part is, they should have knew this at launch. They knew, they surely knew about the business practices, and I'm thinking like, is it tactical?
And the way
that maybe people just pay the £15 and go, fuck it, I want it today. The
assumption, I think, from everyone when they said it's free for everyone who has Fallout 4 on PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. The assumption there is, if it's in your library, however it's in your library, shouldn't really matter.
No.
I know they had the sale on before, but when it's also on PlayStation Plus, it feels like they've made a mistake here, and I think even if it's not intended to do so, I think the correct thing for them to do, to kind of save faces, going, you know what, regardless of how it's in your library, you're getting the update. As long as it's claimed, you just get the update. Like, it's done. Like, otherwise, because it feels like that's what they said should happen.
Yeah, I
think it's this is probably a mistake.
They shouldn't be shocked.
Malicious.
I'd like to think not, but it's like, surely you knew. Like, it's not like PlayStation Plus or the fact that it's a PlayStation Plus game hasn't been known for years at this point. Yeah. I think it's very naive of them to get to launch and go like, oh, PlayStation... Like, you tell me no journalist or no one on the internet has been asking about this version for the last, like, several months since the update was announced. And for them to turn around and go like, oh, we were aware of the issue, sorry for the confusion, we're going to work on it.
It's because the way it said it's going to be a free update. So I think journalists might not have questioned it because if you got the game, it's free. It's a free update. It's an update. See, that even like the day before release, we didn't know how it's going to be released. Is it just an update where effectively, because Sony do stupid stuff, the PS5 edition is a different edition to the PS4 edition? That seems to be where the problems come in. Because Sony, you really need to stop doing that.
It needs a better
smart
solution.
Delivery is so good for Xbox and for PC as well. Like, even if you're not on an Xbox, playing an Xbox game, it should just be the standard. It's like, and again, get rid of multiple. I know Trophy Hunter's going to hate me for this. There shouldn't be multiple trophy lists for the same game if it's the same game. I don't like having two editions. Just give me the best version that my console can put out.
Yeah, because it is a case of like when we streamed it on Thursday, like the cloud version was just the best version. Like, didn't do anything. Didn't need to pick it. I just boot up the game, and it was the best version available through cloud.
It's a pain in the ass for saves sometimes as well. Because if you still have... There's lots of PS4 still out in the wild. I still have my PS4 connected to my TV downstairs. But if I started a PS5... Say I started Fallout 5 on PlayStation 5.
Fallout 5?
Fallout 4 on PlayStation 5 up here. And hypothetically, this scenario, I have kids. They decide they want to play my PS5. I can't then play the same game on PS4, despite having the game on PS4, because the save's not compatible going backwards. Xbox does not have that same issue. If I had an Xbox One downstairs, same scenario, Xbox Series S, kids playing on there, I can't continue my save up here. I want to play downstairs. I can. So, Sony, you really need to sort your ecosystem out in this stuff. Like,
yeah. I mean, the way I ended up getting it fixed in the end was when I put the disc in. It's like the least path of route to success that you would expect is... Where you put the disc in, it shows, you know where it usually says start game?
Yeah.
That little logo next to the little three dots. It has a picture of a disc and it says copy. I had to click copy and then it said the PS5 version of the game. But so my brain, I'm like...
You have to do a full install the PS4 version before you can do an install the PS5 version so you can delete the PS4 version.
Yeah. I mean, I tweeted out, actually, a picture of my home screen because I had 3 versions of Fallout 4 on my dashboard.
Yeah.
Which was like, why is this a thing? And then I mentioned it in our Discord, but weirdly enough, did you see the Microsoft store replied to me?
Yes, I did.
That's so random. Like the official Microsoft, not Xbox, just the Microsoft store.
The Xbox store is the Microsoft store.
So weird. Yeah,
it doesn't even have a skin over it. It's like,
that's weird.
I mean, Xbox have the only issues with the storefront. I hate the Xbox storefront, to be honest. It's messy. PlayStation's is a lot cleaner. But I do wish that there was more synergy between versions of the same game across different consoles. Anything else we want to talk about Fallout? Did you enjoy it when you were playing?
I did enjoy it. Yeah, it was what I expected. It was pretty much the opening to what I expected. I think visually it was hard to tell if there was any real difference because we were playing it through cloud.
I was playing natively on my PS5 but on a 1080p screen, so I'm not getting any 4K up-res. I did notice it seemed like to have HDR on, which the PS4 version didn't. And the frame rate was definitely slicker. Because that's one thing I noticed between Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. Fallout 76 was running at 60 frames, Fallout 4 was running at 30 frames, and the whole thing feels a lot smoother. Yeah. Now Fallout 4 is running at 60 frames per second. But the high frame rate and HDR, seemingly HDR, or at least better lighting, I did notice myself.
Yeah.
Texture quality, hard to say because it's same 1080p screen.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's still a 9-year-old game, so it's only going to look as good as I expected. But I'm at that point with games now where I accept them for what they are.
It doesn't look worse than Starfield.
Well, yeah, exactly, which says a lot.
That says more about Starfield than Fallout.
But yeah, I'm waiting for it to think. I think because I've finished the show now, I'm curious to see how much desire I've got to keep playing, because I think there is an element which is like I'm very conscious of it being such an old game.
Spiky interest. You're all in for a couple of weeks and then
yeah, and now the show's gone. I enjoyed the show and I can't wait for season 2. But at the same time, I'm like, there's a lot of more modern games that are more current that I would like to go and check out, as the aforementioned, like Cyberpunk or something else. We'll see.
You know what I think we should see, Chris? Into the past for this week in video game history to round out the show. Do anything interesting jump out to you? Because there's a few things I've picked up on.
Yeah, April 27th is the day we're recording on. Is it Saturday today? It's Saturday today, right?
Yes, it is.
We've got, for the original Game Boy, Kirby's Dream Land. For the original N64, Star Fox 64.
Lilac Wars. In the UK, it's called Lilac Wars.
Is it?
Yes.
Lilac Wars. And on
I can
the
prove
Nintendo 64,
the case as well.
Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. So that's 24 years, 27 years, and 32 years. But yeah, strong day for Nintendo in history. 16 years ago on the Wii, we got Mario Kart Wii. So maybe not one of the most revered ones, but still,
it's up there.
It's a solid Mario Kart game.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor exactly a year ago today, as of recording.
On PC.
On PC, yeah.
And Little Nightmares as well. Love Little Nightmares. Can't wait for Little Nightmares 3. Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, it's solid day in video games. Is April 27th.
Smash Brothers came out April the 26th, 1999. It kickstarted the Smash franchise.
Damn.
That's an important moment in gaming history, to be honest.
Yeah, April's a good month.
Potentially, Ultimate could be the last Smash.
Yeah, it won't be, but we'll see.
It's at least the last with the series creator involved, because he seems to be done with it.
Yeah. April 28th, Super Bomberman released 31 years ago in 1993 in Japan.
As did number 2 and number 3.
And 3, which is why is April 28th a special Super Bomberman.
They just brought out 3 Bombermans in 3 years on the same day.
Yeah, but that's very particular.
And, there's one here for Rob. Shrek 2 came on the GameCube 20 years ago.
Yeah. Rob's a massive Shrek fan.
Is. So, everyone in our Discord, at Rob, and with Shrek emote gifts.
Anything for Monday when this releases. 16 years ago on Monday, so when the show goes live. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 4. So that needs a remake. That deserves a remake.
Child of Light 10 years ago. Good game. Damn, Don't sleep in Child of Light.
Not at all. And bunch of other stuff. But solid. April's a good month for games, I think, throughout video game history.
It is. And with that, that's all we have time for you. Make sure if you haven't already, you like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell icon to be kept in the loop of all of the fantastic content here at GamerGuildTV, such as this podcast every single week, such as our live streams, where last week we played Fallout 4, and you'll have to stay tuned to find out what we're going to be playing this week, because I bet you it's going to be awesome. And with that, don't forget to check out our merch store, Discord. We've mentioned several times throughout the show. The links are for everything you need are in the description below. And with that, my name's been Richie.
I've been Chris.
GG everyone. Goodbye.
GG.